This is Carl. Carl is an underleveled Lost Sector boss that has the unfortunate issue of being alive. Sadly for Carl, he is about to have the worst headache of his life. This build is brought to you by our merch store. This sticker goes away at the end of this month, and then so does your ability to get community rank in my clan for collecting all 12 stickers from each month. Anyways, back to Carl. The source of Carl's unbelievable headache comes from an unusual combination of weapons, artifact mods, and exotics that create a feedback loop of ass-kicking most players seem to have forgotten about. Better still is that this build works with just a few adjustments into PvP as well. It's like a freaking Swiss Army knife of ass kicking. Anyways, before talking about the specifics of why you need to at least give this build a try just for funsies, it helps to gain a bit of perspective. Obviously, we're on Gunslinger, so let's compare some of those things we can do. Here is what a normal weighted knife does to Carl's face. If you're getting the familiar feeling of disappointment, you are not alone. Here's what a strengthened heavy knife from the Arthritis Embrace does to Carl's frontal orifice. Wow. I almost didn't gag. But of course, we have more than just knives, so here's the marksman's golden gun on Carl's poor, unfortunately repulsive face. Pretty standard stuff, but let's let our curiosity take the wheel and test it with the Celestial Nighthawk, and Carl is dead. Shocking. The exotic used to DPS strike bosses leaves a well-chiseled grove where Carl's head used to be, no surprises. Now, Golden Gun is cool and all, but we have a teensy little issue of it taking 7 minutes to recharge, meaning that if we had, say, 4 to 5 Carls, you would not be laughing at him so hard, which can easily happen in Grandmaster Nightfalls. Check your privilege. But, like we saw earlier, with the right setup, Carl can be a bit of a bitch. But hold on, maybe math wasn't your strongest subject in school. How quickly do we get our knife back compared to our super? 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes. You already knew the answer to this. Why are you still? But it's actually much less than that because we can use our Gambler's Dodge to drop it down to just 40 seconds from a dodge to get our knife back. But it's actually much less than that, as we can use our mods like Utility Kickstart, which grants us class ability energy when we use our class ability, and it's actually even less than that because our weighted throwing knives recharge our dodge, because if Carl the Colossus can't handle our knives, what makes you think Sarah the Scion will? So you get it, we have a pretty powerful knife and that's pretty much always ready to go, but why is this knife a Control A plus Control Delete Carl so well? Cryosthesia. While it might not be everyone's go-to pick for PvE, cryosthesia allows us to take stasis freezes into areas that God did not intend for it to be. Cryosthesia allows us to swap to an alternate fire mode after getting a kill, which will instantly freeze all targets caught within its winding up blast. Now, back to Carl. Combining our Arthritis Embrace heavy knife with our free shot multiplies the damage to a disgusting 275,000 damage, hitting Carl in his stupid face. His grandchildren are going to get a toothache. But this is a build video, so what other parts of this build make me like this more than, say, Young Hakam Kara's spine, or maybe... No, that's pretty much the only major competition nowadays. By the way, in case you're curious, here's how much damage an Akam Kara spine plus freeze combo does. Anyways, simply put, Firebolt spam. Firebolts are obviously much less damage than the spine trip mine combo, but that opens up your grenade to be a multi-tool for our other needs. Primarily, ta-da! The artifact mods. Solar Surge grants us an armor charge whenever we pick up a fire sprite. Flare Up makes firebolts apply more scorch per firebolt and makes them spawn a fire sprite, and then Rain of Firebolts gives us 2 firebolts. You already knew where this is going. Don't start with me with that condescending look. If our knife and grenade are the offensive keywords like Scorch and Ignitions, Fire Sprite provides us with the defensive keywords like Restoration, Radiant, and Cure. If literature wasn't your strongest subject, what I'm saying here is that with just our grenade and our knife, we can get literally every Solar 3.0 keyword active on our Guardian all at once. We can accomplish the positive keywords through the Ember of Torches, which grants our knife hits Radiant for a tad bit of bonus damage with the aspect Knock 'em Down. It also gives us some tools with Deal with Champions because Radiant deals with champions, and we get our knives back off of knife kills, which is nice. Next up, Ember of Mercy, which among other things gives us restoration when we pick up a fire sprite. Ember of Resolve can give us cure on a fire sprite pickup, but I prefer to spec into more ad clear and slot things like Ember of Char and Ember of Eruption for Scorch spreading on ignitions and a larger ignition radius. Of course, these aren't required for this build. I already showed you the main course. These are simply the sauces on the side to add whatever particular brand of solar spice you want your industrial strength can of ass whooping you'll be opening to have. Let's talk about how to properly open that can while we're at it. You've seen what it looks like, but here are the specifics. Step 1, secure about 4 headshot hits and 1 kill from your cryosthesia. This will give you both the strength and heavy knife buff and your ability to freeze swap shot. Step 2, locate a target you want to destroy at a molecular level. Step 3, firebolt. Step 4, freeze. Step 5, knife to the face. Step 6, profit. But what about the in-between? For abilities, use your grenades into your knife religiously for guaranteed ignitions. People often forget Heavy Knife will guarantee ignition on a scorched target by design. If you don't have your grenade up, don't sweat. Just cryos blast a magic school bus group size of enemies, which will freeze all of them, and then let the passive shatter from your knife sinking into their skulls do the work for you. But sadly, sometimes life has other plans for our yeet and delete stick, and we are forced to soil ourselves by using other weapons. But this is a pretty clever pick, if I must say so myself, the Retraced Path. A solar trace rifle that can roll both subsistence, because reloading is for poor people, and golden tricorn, arguably the best damage perk in the game. And being that we will be getting 80% of our kills from knives and grenades, this perk is almost always at full power, which chews through adds like an all-you-can-eat buffet. That joke freaking sucked. A clever little benefit of choosing specifically a trace rifle for our builds is that because it fires a lot of bullets really, really fast, it means that our strength and heavy knife buff will pretty much always be available without really any extra effort, because a lot of bullets are hit in the face, gives us the strength and knife buff, you can just kind of keep, you know where I'm going with this. Okay, the PvP people have been waiting a long time, so let me just quickly show you the mods for this build. Cloak, Reaper, Explosive Finisher, Time Dilation. This gives us more orbs, more grenades when we finally do run out, and increase our weapon surge. And 2 innovation mods. Feel free to mix and match for more or less damage or more or less grenades and vice versa. Chest piece is up to you. Spec for damage resistance for your encounter and maybe emergency reinforcements like I do if you want to play it safe. For the Arthritis himself, grenade kickstart because Lord knows we don't need melee kickstart, heavy-handed because we will be getting a lot of kills with these melees, and firepower for, say it with me, more grenades. Helmet, run what you please, but if you aren't running hands-on, you need a therapist. Okay, PvP players, I will keep this brief. I know that you're at the end of this video and most people's attention spans have moved on, but you are God's strongest warrior to both get this far into the video and to still hold out hope for my beloved Crucible. Besides the obviously PvE only mods, swapping those out for whatever you want on your armor, we are going to make 3 primary swaps. Feel free to stay on the heavy knives, but we really won't need them for this build. Swap that heavy knife for a lightweight knife. Some of you already know where this is going. Swap your Arthritis Embrace for Mechaneer's Trick Sleeves, and swap your trace rifle for a bow with quick access sling, and preferably swashbuckler if you have it. Unfortunately, I do not. Here's the cycle. Bow headshot, swap into your cryos for cleanup, get the freeze shot ready, freeze, lightweight knife throw immediately after the freeze, profit. It is very good and will absolutely piss off your enemies, which is even better in my opinion, but I'm not your dad. You can do heavy knife with a trace rifle. It works, but it's much more backloaded, meaning it's much harder to get the kills going, but it's also harder for your enemies to stop them from coming, so a bit of your pick there. I prefer the lightweight knife version of this build for more flexibility in those moment-to-moment engagements, but some of you will probably really like it with the trace rifle and an ungodly amount of damage stacked on top of it, so go wild. I would really appreciate it if you got this far if you subscribed. Editing takes time away from my family. Bless your faces, and deuces.